Today we are talking about the public release of Ruffwear's Service Dog Vest line, their statement about what changed to prompt this release to the owner training community, along with a full review of each product so that you can make the best decision for you and your service dog. Now, I actually have many years of first-hand experience using these service dog vests. You might remember a few years ago when I was raising guide dog puppy Osa and she was wearing one of these vests. I also have experience with Ruffwear's other service dog product, the Unifly guide dog harness. Now, this harness hasn't been publicly released yet, but I did get to use it through my work as a guide dog trainer and placement specialist. When I first saw these vests brought into the guide dog puppy program, I was immediately impressed with their professional look, thoughtful design, as well as its quality. And when I saw the magnetic clips used to fasten these vests, I knew it could be a game changer for some of my service dog clients with dexterity and mobility issues. But when I found out that they were only being sold to ADI or IGDF accredited schools, I was a little bit bummed out. I could use it at my job as a guide dog instructor, but I couldn't use it with my private clients or with my own service dog. But all of that changed this month when Ruffwear decided to release their vest to the owner training service dog community and to private trainers. So I decided to purchase both versions of the vest in both of the colors that they have available and in 2 different sizes so that I could compare and contrast them, show you, and use them with my own service dog. So for those of you that are new to my channel, hi, I'm Laura from Doggy U. I'm a certified guide dog mobility instructor, service dog trainer, and trick trainer. And I'm also a service dog handler myself. So today we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive on Ruffwear's public release of the service dog vest. We're going to talk about what changed, the public statement that accompanied the release, and then I'm going to help you decide if this vest is right for you and which of the 2 vest models is best for your dog and your needs. So let's get started. Now, I've been using Ruffwear gear since I adopted Jake more than a decade ago. This means that I have some gear that I still use daily that's more than a decade old and you would never know it. This is Jake in his original harness from more than 12 years ago. Their gear seriously holds up, and if Ruffwear sells it, I probably have a version of it. I'm a person that's happy to invest money in quality gear so that I only have to buy it once, unless they come out with a really fun new color or a new design that I really like, or matching my mood that day. You all have dogs, you understand. And up until now, I've actually adapted some of their regular pet dog lines for service dog work. So for instance, this switchback harness that I had wording pressed on because it was such a functional option as a service dog vest. That's all to say that I'm a pretty big Ruffwear fan, but this is not a sponsored video. I have paid for every piece of equipment I've ever bought from Ruffwear, and this is a totally impartial review. So let's start with the statement that Ruffwear put out with their recent gear release. Previously, Ruffwear's current line of service dog products were only available to purchase through select service dog schools. The lack of product availability to a portion of the service dog community does not align with our core belief in supporting the critical role of working dogs in our society. There has, however, been a unique challenge in this space, and that is the issue of removing barriers for service dog owners and handlers to get the very best gear on an individual level. We recognize that the community remains underserved, and it is our goal to make our equipment as available as we can to the people who need it the most while protecting the integrity of our mission. This led our internal team to revisit our program, ask some questions, learn from the folks within the service dog community, and re-look at our product offerings. Going forward, Ruffwear will now offer access to our service dog products on ruffwear.com as a means to reach those who truly depend on it. I've made that entire statement available at a link down in the description below, and I highly recommend that you read the entire statement because there's information on there that you're going to want to check out. Now, I'm sure people are going to want to knock Ruffwear for excluding owner trainers from their product lines up until this point, and they're going to want Ruffwear to release their other products such as the Unifly guide dog harness. I actually have an email into the company to see when and if they're going to be releasing more of their gear, but I haven't gotten a response yet. But I think it's important to say here that hindsight is 20/20, and this field and the service dog industry at large is changing rapidly, and basically better late than never. I'm glad that they've finally come around to release these vests to the public, and I think we should all positively reinforce them for finally producing high quality service dog gear for owner trainers and the service dog market as a whole. Click treat to them. Vests. So now let's talk about the different vest options, what makes them similar, and what differences there are to consider when selecting one for you and your service dog. There are 2 different vest options, one called the Access ID Service Dog Vest, and the slightly less expensive option called the Access ID Light Service Dog Vest. So for this video, I purchased the light version in the red size small, and I purchased the regular version in the blue size medium. So for the purposes of this video, to help differentiate them, I'm gonna call the regular one the magnetic version because that is the feature that differentiates it most for me, and it'll be easier to tell the difference. And we're gonna talk more about those clasps later in the video. And then we'll call the light version light because it has the traditional clips on it, and we'll talk more about those as well. I'll also do a size comparison on my dog so that you can see the difference. But before I compare and contrast these two vests, if you're enjoying this video, the best thing that you can do for me right now in this very moment is to head on down and boop that like button. Doing so lets me know that you want more videos like this and helps others discover this channel. So big thank you for doing your part to help other service dog handlers find these free resources. Similarities. Both vests come in both the blue and the red color options, and both have the exact same shape and fit on the dog. They both have a light loop on the top so that you can keep your dog safe by attaching some sort of light, like the audible beacon safety light that Ruffwear makes. I'll link that down in the description below. It also has a 5-point adjustment system, very similar to the other harnesses that Ruffwear makes. They both also have reflective trim along where the zippers are, as well as the bottom where the clasps are. They also both have zippy pockets, which are not huge, but you can definitely fit like a poop bag or medical information, something like that. And they're all just like very lightweight. And so that means that you could use them in the summer, or you can easily adjust them so that they could go over like your dog's winter coat, something like that. And they're just attractive. They look really professional, which I love. Their design also allows for full range of motion for the dog, keeping their shoulders free. And they're also water and abrasion resistant. Now let's talk about what makes them different. The first thing that I think is going to make a huge difference for people with limited mobility or dexterity is the way that the clasps work when you put it on your dog. And that, I think the magnetic clasps have a huge advantage if you struggle with a traditional clip. The magnetic version or the regular version, all you have to do is get that clasp close to the other clasp, and it's automatically going to magnetize to itself and close on itself. So there's no squishing or having to pinch any tines together to make it work. This is a big deal, and it's also super strong once the clasps come together. And it's also easy off. It's just a pull tab and you can pull it right off of your dog, super simple. In contrast, your light version has traditional clips that work well for most people. But if you have any mobility or dexterity issues or just want to more easily be able to take your vest on and off, then the magnetic version is definitely right for you. So now let's talk about the other difference, and that is the clear ID holder located on the top of the vest of the magnetic version, but not on the light version. This was an interesting choice by Ruffwear, knowing that the ADA, or Americans with Disabilities Act, does not require any form of identification for your service dog to legally be considered a service dog. And the presence of these garbage companies that charge people money to register their service dog and put them on a BS list and give them an ID that means nothing creates access challenges for service dog handlers. However, my best guess is that these vests were originally designed for puppy raisers who are not covered under the ADA. So the ADA only applies to service dogs that are actually fully trained and not to service dogs in training. So this means that puppies that are being raised for different service dog organizations are subject to state law and not federal law. And that state law changes from state to state. So having the ID displayed might be useful for those that live in a state where the dog has to be accompanied by a certified trainer, which is problematic in its own right, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Or for those puppies that are being raised by ADI or IGDF organizations and they want to have that information displayed on the vest. So in any event, there is an ID pocket on the metal one, and I just want to say for those of you that are trying to get into this pocket from the top, you can't get in it from there, and I felt like such a silly person when I couldn't figure out how to get in, because if you go into the left side pocket, there's also no access, but if you go into the right side pocket, that's where you're gonna be able to display or put your, whatever you wanna put in this pocket. And I could see some other uses for it that aren't an ID, like being able to easily put like a do not pet patch right into this pocket without having to like glue it on or stitch it on. Or you might be able to put in, your access laws so that you have the laws readily available. I actually offer a free downloadable service dog card that can be printed out by whatever company you choose with a synopsis of the ADA laws on it. You can find that down in the link in the description below, so feel free to slide that in there if you want. So really the magnetic clasps and the ID holder are what's going to differentiate the two products along with the price. But what I do like about the light version, if you don't need those magnetic clasps, is there's so much space that you could embroider your own logo on if you need, or other things that you'd like to put on the vest. So I like that as well. Plus it's more affordable, and that definitely makes a difference too. I also wanted to show you a quick comparison on sizing because I purposely bought both the small and the medium version because, of course, like in all things, WIP needs to be difficult sometimes, and she is literally right between sizes. So I wanted to show you the difference. Plus, I knew that they could be multi-purpose and I could use them for my new puppy when they get here, hopefully later this year, so fingers crossed. And no, I don't have any new details yet on the puppy, but if you're a Patreon supporter, first of all, thank you. You are what makes these videos possible, and you're also gonna be the first ones to know when I do have details on the puppy. And you'll be able to follow along behind the scenes on our journey together. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. And if you're watching this and you aren't a part of the Doggy U community yet, you can join us for as little as $3 to gain access to more than 150 Patreon exclusive videos and be the first to know all the juicy details about my new puppy and follow along on the journey. Okay, so for reference, Cool Whip is just under 27 inches at the girth and a pretty deep-chested dog. Her weight is about 40 pounds and she stands about 20.5 inches at the withers. The girth cutoff for the Ruffwear was 27 inches, and she typically wears a small in other Ruffwear products. She's definitely also at what I would call pet weight here, and she's pushing the limits of a small-sized vest. I suspect that as she gets down to her summer sport weight, this one will be a really nice fit. But right now, the size medium is a better fit for her with more room for adjustment. To compare, Jake has about a 28-inch girth and is an inch taller at 21.5 inches and around 50 pounds. He does not fit comfortably in the small, but has plenty of room in the size medium. So if your dog is a similar size to mine, hopefully this will help with deciding on what size to purchase. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. And if you're considering purchasing a new vest for your dog, or any gear for that matter, you might also be wondering how I condition dogs to actually load themselves into the harness, even those dogs that can sometimes be gear shy, like my own dog, Cool Whip. Well, you're in luck because I made an entire video on how to properly introduce your dog to new equipment like a vest so that they can have all the good feels about putting it on. I'll even show you how to shape and auto load into the equipment. So you can click on this video right here to start your dog off right with this new piece of gear. All right, y'all, you have an awesome day and happy training.